Chess is a game of strategy and tactics. There are several strategic and tactical themes or motifs which recur in almost every chess game played. Learning to recognize these patterns and create them in your games is the next step in your chess improvement. Strategy is more conceptual in nature and involves decisions like deciding where to concentrate your forces, whether to focus on the king side, queen side, or in the center, to form short and long-range plans. We'll learn more about strategy in later lessons. Tactics, on the other hand, are usually defined as the actual moves you play to carry out your strategic ideas and plans. However, in chess, tactics is also defined by certain name maneuvers which allow you to win material, that is, winning a pawn or a piece. The tactical themes include the double attack or fork, the pin and skewer, removing the guard or defender, the discovered attack and double check, and attraction or deflection. In this lesson, we will focus on the double attack. Mastering these tactical motifs is the key to becoming a dangerous chess player. In an earlier lesson, I briefly mentioned that the elements of chess are time, space, and force. Tactics is all about force, and the first thing to understand about force is what is called a force majority, or what I like to call a gang attack. This is the simple idea of 3 against 2 or 2 against 1. Here we see 2 white pawns against 1 black pawn. It doesn't matter whose turn it is to move because white will be able to get a passed pawn which can become a queen. For example, he can push here and let's say black can take it or not take it, but let's say he takes it, we take, and now in 2 more moves this pawn can become a queen. In this scenario down here, however, we still have 2 white pawns against 1 black pawn, but because this black pawn is further down the board, as soon as, let's see, whose turn is it? Let's see, I have to move. Okay, now if white moves here, then black can take, and in only 2 more moves, the black pawn queens first. So here we can see how one pawn can fight 2 pawns successfully. This same idea of a force majority can occur with pieces as well. You can get 2 pieces against 1 or 3 against 2 somewhere on the board, and you can usually gain an advantage there, either strategic or through material. You can usually try and win a piece or a pawn if you have that force majority. The double attack entails attacking 2 pieces simultaneously with 1 piece. Before you move in chess, you have to look at the last move your opponent made and determine what threats it may pose. If you don't do this, you may lose on the next move, especially if he's threatening to mate you. Only after this safety check are you ready to look at your own offensive or tactical moves. The double attack entails attacking 2 pieces simultaneously with 1 piece. The double attack and other tactics are found by looking for key features which appear in all games played. These features include all checks and captures, including sacrifices, which we'll discuss later, undefended pieces or pawns, and pieces of lower value which can attack pieces of higher value. These are the most forcing moves in chess. And we're always looking for forcing moves because it can place our opponent on the defensive. Okay, so now I would like you to find all the checks. We're doing it from the white side, okay? How can you check the black king? So pause the video and find the check or checks. Okay, next I would like you to find all undefended pieces. So pause the video and look for all undefended pieces and pawns. Okay, for the undefended pieces or pawns, did you notice that both rooks are undefended as they are in the starting position? And this pawn is undefended, and most importantly, this bishop is undefended. And did you find the only check that white can deliver on the next move? The queen can check the king here along this diagonal, And this check allows us to actually win this undefended bishop because he's undefended. The check has to be responded to, so however black chooses to do that, either by pushing this pawn, or best is probably blocking with the bishop, the queen can capture the dark squared bishop on the next move. This example also underscores the importance of whose turn it is to move, because that's a critical factor. Let's say you're getting ready to mate your opponent, he's getting ready to mate you. Well, then it will depend on whose turn it is, because if it's his turn to move, he'll mate you first. And in this example, we see that the bishop's undefended, but what if it was black's turn to move? He might see that and get out of it, and might just take the knight, and then he won't be defended anymore, he'll be gone. Or he might defend the bishop by pushing this pawn. That's why these tactical features, you've got to act on them quickly, because your opponent can easily correct the problem. Every piece in chess can deliver a double attack, including kings and pawns. So let's look quickly at examples of how each piece can deliver a double attack, which is also called a fork. There's some debate about the terms, but I learned knight forks and pawn forks. But they're all a form of a double attack when one piece is attacking two or more pieces at the same time. And remember that chess is a hierarchical game. It's an aristocracy. We've got the king and the queen. Not aristocracy. What's the word? Royalty. Yes. And so the king is the most valuable, then the queen, then the rooks, and then the knights and bishops, and then pawns. So if a lower ranked piece is attacking a higher ranked piece, that's also one way of gaining control of your opponent. And if you can win that higher rated piece for a lower rated piece, you have a real advantage. Usually, all things being equal. So again, let's look here. It's white's turn to move, and let's try and find a double attack of sorts with what I just mentioned, which is a bit of a hint. So remember, you look for undefended pieces or pawns, or you look for a piece of lower value which can attack a piece of higher value, which I call little guys harassing big guys, and there you go. So I'll just point it out to you here. The bishop can come to this square and attack the rook, and this pawn, which is undefended. So by doing so, the rook should move, and when the rook moves, the bishop is free to capture the pawn. Speaking of pawn forks, here's a recent game by America's very own Hikaru Nakamura, who's the #1 rated player in America, and actually #3 in the world. So it's white to move, and in chess you combine all of the motifs that you're going to be learning here, which makes it a great kaleidoscope of possibilities. And Nakamura is a great tactical player. So in this game, he sees, here's one of the features. The queen is x-raying this pawn towards the king. So, there's a potential check there and an ability to control your opponent, maybe gain a move. So what he does is sacrifice his knight. We're going to do one little video on sacrifices, which is a major tactical theme. And now he's attacking the queen here, so it's a bit of a forced move. And he can't take with the king because the queen is guarding that square, right? And kings can't move into check. So he has to take with the rook. And what that does is bring it closer to this pawn. So now this pawn delivers a double attack, a pawn fork. And he's going to win either the rook or the knight. And at the moment I don't remember exactly why he has to. He has to. Here's the reason. Okay, he has to take with the. He has to give up the rook because if he backs the rook off, then I'll show you here. I think then the pawn can take here with check, and then he'll actually win 2 pieces. So instead, he moves the knight, I believe, here. Let's see, go to the real game. Yeah, he plays knight takes, attacking the queen, and the pawn takes with check, so the queen is saved. You gain a move with the check, and then the king moves and the queen moves out of the way. And so he gets it's called the exchange when you exchange a lower rank piece for a higher rank piece, especially the rook, for one of the minor pieces of the bishops or the knights. So he made a nice little pawn fork with a sacrifice, combining ideas, and was able to get ahead in the game and eventually win the game. Although the king can only move one square at a time, in close quarters he can be quite a fighter. And we'll see here in this game, he too can deliver a fork, attacking two pieces simultaneously in certain situations and win a piece. So in this position, we see that black chose to check the king, but didn't evaluate his position well enough before doing that, because you see that the rook here is undefended, and the knight is only defended by the rook. So if we can simultaneously attack the rook, moving the rook, and getting the game, maybe winning the knight. So we see here that the king moves out of the check, attacking the rook and the knight. This is a combination actually of a tactic we're going to be going over later, but this is a fork. This is a king fork, but at the same time he is removing the guard, the defender of the knight. The rook really needs to move. He could check the king, but then the king would be free to capture the knight as well. So the rook runs, and now the king is free to capture the knight. So the kings are dangerous pieces as well in certain positions. The only piece we haven't looked at and how it can deliver a double attack is with the rook. And the features we look for again are two undefended pieces, and you can see very simply that the rook can move here, simultaneously attacking this undefended pawn and knight. And because the knight can't do anything tricky in two moves, like check the king and maybe win the rook, the rook will be free to win the pawn on the next move. Okay, this concludes the section on the double attack, and in the next lesson on tactics we'll be looking at the tactic known as the pin.